He was throwing all his pawns, everything but the kitchen sink at Hikaru, and he was the one eating there. He gets a victory, cuts the deficit to 3 points, and he needs to seize the momentum as we're about to get to the halfway point of this time segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match is so far from over. It's far from being a blowout, and we see what Nihal Sarin is capable of when he believes in himself, he plays his style, and he gets these tactical positions. Robert, I just think he needs to try to switch his style, and that's exactly what he's doing here. Hikaru, though, is the one who switches his first move. We've got a Ruy Lopez on our plates.
We do indeed.
Put that on your plate.
Give a shout out to one of the featured chatters. I saw that flickering across the screen saying that Hikaru is just proud. And actually, I feel like Hikaru often is like that. When somebody outcalculates him, yeah, he's a little disappointed, but I feel like he genuinely is proud of Nihal. And in some ways, Danya, maybe this is out of left field, but is Nihal kind of like, not a mini Hikaru, but like in the sense that Hikaru grew up being a speed demon, then eventually crossed 2,700, became a top player. I feel like Nihal has many of the same attributes as a chess player as Hikaru did.
He absolutely does. And to co-sign that point, I would say that they also have this incredible mixture of attacking and tactical acumen. Both of them are ridiculous at seeing short tactics. They're great calculators, but at their core, I think both Hikaru and Nihal, this is often underestimated about Hikaru, are actually positional players. They've got a great sense of where pieces belong. And yet in this match, I think Nihal has to deviate his style and try to go full tactical mode.
I agree. And right now he has a strong center with the black
Good
pieces.
Position again.
And I just want to give a shout out to the 40,000+ people watching across Twitch and YouTube. We're really happy that you're joining us here. It is an epic match, and Hikaru Nakamura with a 3-point lead right now over Nihal Sarin. But if you look at the evaluation bar and the position in this game, White's pieces are in weird places. The rook on f2 now pinned. This bishop on b3, stare down with the bishop on e6, the queen on e1 doing a defensive task. So you have to be very careful here if you're Hikaru Nakamura. You just lost the previous game, Danya. You cannot afford to let this one go as well.
But Nihal, he's putting pressure. I like the way he's playing. He's playing quickly as he improves the placement of his rooks. So does Hikaru. There's a lot of hidden tension going on the D file. The moment d takes e4 happens, you could get a bunch of trades. I don't think it's in Nihal's favor to trade. I think he wants Hikaru to be the one to concede the center with e takes d5. That would be a bad idea, leaving the e-pawn free to roam forward.
Wow, and look at Nihal go. A5 was a good first punch, and it's a 1-2 combo with b4. And bishop a4, a one-move threat. That rook can just move up to e7.
Yeah, and I think it will. He's perhaps thinking about throwing in bc. I don't really think that's necessary. I don't think it necessarily hurts or helps either player.
Yeah, I don't know why you would need to throw the move. It's not like White really wants to take on b4 anyway. He plays rook e7. So again, Nihal very deliberate in his actions. He has a slight lead on the clock, but I actually think it's his position that gives him the most chances. Unlike some of the previous games, here with the black pieces, he has stout defense, and he can turn that into offense. A rook can go to c7 and try to create an open file.
And what Nihal has desperately needed in the 3-minute portion is confidence. And I think he's gotten so much confidence back on the heels of that amazing victory in the previous game. You can just sense the energy, the new confidence, the momentum in his play. The match hangs in the balance. Can Hikaru muster up yet another comeback? Knight appears on f5, and I think it's going to be captured. And after no, Nihal just leaves the knight there and moves his rook away, attacking c3.
Yeah, because the pawn e4 is stuck in the mud. Can't take on d5. You lose that knight on f5. So bishop takes f5 can happen soon. c3 under attack. If it's cb4, you just take back. The open c file is good for black. And what about...
Takes it...
I'm trying to look at de4 and make that work as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
It's the position smells of tactics. It's like smelling mama's cooking when you're upstairs. It wafts out. But where exactly is that punch? I don't see it. Maybe an improving move is necessary, like knight g6 to f4.
Yes.
Then the queen comes out to g3. Oh, and then you have bishop f5 and a fork on e2. That's so easy to miss.
Yes, this fork on e2 is available. It's happened in many games. Once a knight lands on f5 and f4, watch out for the e2 and e7 square. So right now, queen g3 does not work, as you just pointed out, and Hikaru has to watch out for knight d3 as well.
Yeah, forks galore in this position. The knight on f5 can't do all the heavy lifting on its own, and what a cold-blooded response by Hikaru. But this is not a move played out of desire. It's played out of necessity. It's the only way to avert all of the forks. And again, can Nihal keep his foot on the gas pedal in this position?
Can he take on A2? It's a very brave move. It might be a bad move, but I'm wondering if you can just snag that pawn there and get away with it.
Somebody hasn't had breakfast. Nihal has had his breakfast, and he offers Hikaru some breakfast, sacrificing H6. How many times have we seen the move G6 with a knight on F5 or F4?
It's a fantastic move. I give up that pawn to get one back and with interest. So knight goes back to E3. Knight D3, the queen just slides up to E2. He takes on C3 here, so white's pawn structure is bad, right? A2, C3 split. Black has an extra pawn in the center towards the king side. So where next? That's the big question. Maybe just a slow improving move like king to G7. Just pass the turnover. You mentioned queen C5 to A3. That looks good as well.
But Nihal taking the concrete approach. Where is that knight going? I think it's dropping back towards C5. No, it moves back to F4. Okay. Hikaru tries to take the opportunity to... It's not that he's declining repetition. It's more that he thinks the queen is better on F3, and I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And bishop drops back to B3.
If you take on B3, A takes B3, you fix white's pawn structure. So I don't know if you want that. He doesn't, and goes rook D7 to the open file.
Now, knight C4 is possible, but not that dangerous. The queen can always slide back to C7 or forward to C5. Bishops are traded.
Oh, I thought he was going to take with the knight on E6. Takes with the queen. Knight B3 is a threat of A5 and that fork that you're pointing out. You do not want to fall victim to a fork out of nowhere.
And how do you actually defend both at the same time? Because if you play queen B6, the other knight can slide into C4, and suddenly Hikaru not only up 25 seconds on the clock, he's creating a lot of concrete threats.
Queen C6, good move. Attacking E4 pawn. Take that right now. Now black has 2 extra pawns on the F and E files. So white has these split extra pawns, passers on the queen side. Wow.
But they are passers nonetheless. Hikaru attacks C5. The C pawn is rumbling forward. This is very losable. H5 maybe.
Yes, because the knight
doesn't work.
Because HG and G3 check, and you mate the white king.
Amazing. And Hikaru has to drop back to F2. Takes in rook C3. Get behind the pawn.
Knight D3. There's rook F3, and then E4 and F5.
He goes to E6, avoiding the trouble.
Oh, this is really bad for white. Black's just winning a pawn, and now you have a 2 extra pawn lead on the king side. A rook F3, a chance, but C5 drops.
Hikaru's going to give up C5 and put the rook behind the pawn, try to push it as far as it'll go, and that's not far at all. Can Nihal convert this position?
I like the move H4, keeping more pawns on the board, because that black king is going to G5 into F4 eventually. The white king, I think, is too slow to get up towards the A pawn.
I think it might be a draw, though. You could get into a situation where pushing either pawn opens up holes in the center that white's king can occupy. This could be something resembling a fortress.
But maybe there's some kind of Zugzwang at some point that if you're not careful, Hikaru's moves seem easy. Rook A1, rook A2.
F2.
Oh, wow. And then F4 and the king B4. You just have to be a little bit careful. Maybe it works. He goes king B4.
Now, maybe it's time for rook F1.
And E4.
E4. Rook F4.
Oh my gosh, he's just getting the pawns and they're stuck in place, the other ones.
I don't know, but you can try Hikaru trying to get his king up and win the pawns, but he might not make it in time. King D3.
D2? Oh gosh, king's coming to E2. That pawn's pushing.
And then you have to try the side checks with rook B8. Oh, he sacks the pawn.
King F5, E3. Is it enough? King G5, I think you're in time.
I think it's a draw.
Yes.
H4.
You just can't bring the king. No, you can actually bring the king all the way up to G7 and back.
By the hair on his chinny chin, Hikaru manages to pull out the draw. Don't miss rook E3.
But is rook E2 actually a draw? That's a big question.
I think it is, because you're going to promote to a knight at the end, but that could be Zugzwang. Let's watch.
Okay, here we go.
It's a draw. It's not even close.
Yeah, the king's not nearly close enough. It's just a draw.
Another incredible save by Hikaru.
And look at Hikaru. He's wasting a few extra seconds. Like, look at this. He didn't promote right away. He spent some time. It is a draw, and that means we are ready for our break. Hikaru gets out of his chair. Nihal Sarin, he was so close to cutting this to a 2-point deficit, but the